What's up, guys? Army-Firedog back again with a review. I thought I did because I had the written review up for a couple weeks now, but I didn't even realize I forgot to do the video review. But today is actually the review of my beloved Audio GB NFB 15.32. And actually, I literally just found out today that it actually does have the TXCO, the DAC upgrade that I'd never even heard of until I was questioned about it. So I do have that. But anywho, let's jump into the review, shall we? And of course, like I always do, I like to start with the construction of it. And I don't know why I just set that down. But as you can see, the construction is absolutely awesome. It's completely aluminum throughout the entirety of the case. The only plastic I've actually been able to make out is on the buttons here. And on the USB ports, if I can put my finger on the right one, going backwards, there we are, right here. That's about the only plastic I've been able to find in the entire construction of it. It's, despite being a decently bulky unit, I guess it'd be about 10 inches long. It's not that heavy. Like, I thought it would be a lot heavier from the way the pictures looked at it or when I first got it in the mail. I do remember that. But no, it's actually respectably lightweight. It is I believe it's a solid Class A, which does make sense because this amp gets very hot. Nowhere near as hot as this guy, which is the shit Lear 2, but this thing gets pretty toasty. But moving on from the construction, let's go down to the functionality of it, shall we? And this is the one where that drove me bonkers with this thing, because it has so much potential. And for those of you much more tech savvy than myself, because I make no excuses, I'm not that tech savvy. As you can see, my editing abilities kind of suck. Anywho, so what this guy does, or what this thing is really interested in, is so you have quite a few different features. You have, we'll get it in the frame here. You have, oops, sorry from the side. So you have headphone, this is your combi setting, this uses the amp and the DAC inside. The bottom one is DAC only. So that's the only two options you have, combi unit and DAC. Now, real quick, what this means is, pardon me, this performs as a all-in-one unit. This is, you put the USB port, or cord, excuse me, from the computer to the input, and then you go to your headphones. That's it. There's no output. That's it. That's gone. Done. Over. Or you can use the same to here. You can change it to DAC out into another amp. So it would only use the DAC inside of this. So that is good and bad. For me personally, that's more or less a negative feature because I really like the amp in this. I like the, for example, I have the OWN X1S and then this guy. Well, now those two, but besides the point. I really like the DAC in the X1S, but I love the sound of the amp in this one. So I really wanted to use the DAC from the X1S into this, but I couldn't do that. I can only use the DAC into this, into the X1S. So that's kind of it's a small downside, but it is one of the annoying ones nonetheless. Now, again, this may be from my inexperience, because I've only had two combi units I've ever had experience with, and that'd be Audio GB and the OWN X1S. I do not know if others come with this feature, or if the OWN just spoiled me. I don't know. But anywho, moving on away from that feature, you have the gain setting, which is, I usually use 300 ohms, or no, excuse me, 250 ohms and below. Anything above 250 ohms, I use the high gain. USB, this is your inputs, coax, and then optical. I always use mine never changed from USB. It always stayed in the USB setting. But what makes this really awesome is these two. Well, awesome potentially, because again, I could not figure this thing out. I tried to, and I just couldn't get it. So, you have 6 different settings here. You have the filter, which is like an EQ more or less, so you can change like different kind of sounds from it. And then you have the OS, which I don't know if it stands for operating system. I'm not sure what this stands for, but you have 2, 4, and 8. So you have 1, 2, over here, 1, 2, 3, and 2, 4, 8. I don't know what the numbers mean, that does come with like a little software you can download and kind of tinker with it. I was too afraid I'd mess up what's inside of here, so I was like, you know what? I love the amp how it sounds default and stock. That's how I keep it. I buy amps for how they sound, not what I can do to them. That's why I never do an EQ. I never play with my phone's EQ. But that's the functionality of it. It is very simple from a normal DAC standpoint with just these three, but it does have potential to have a really higher tier customizational abilities for those of you who care to tinker with it. And finally, we have the sound quality of it. It's the most important part of an amp. That's why you buy an amp, is how it sounds, how it makes your headphones sound, how it works with your headphones. And I loved the sound of this. And in terms of the audio GB, this particular model, the 15.32 with the TXCO, it is so darn nice. I have no issue. The only complaint I have about this entire thing is I couldn't figure out the functionality part of those two buttons and the DAC out, or the only output is a DAC. But the sound is so darn nice. The soundstage it gives the music is very, very realistic. For example, a song I almost always listen to, and it's on YouTube, so quality sure is not the awesomest thing, but I enjoy listening to it. It's Pirates of the Caribbean by the Philharmonic Rhapsody. It's all open, it's in the middle of a street, it's kind of like a kind of flash mobby, but not really. But in that, you hear cars buzzing, you hear the wind, you hear people talking. It's just a very enveloping audio piece. And with a great DAC, such as is in this one, you really feel involved with it. And then the sound quality that comes out, as you guys know, I'm much more of a mid-word person. I like a warm, I like a very emotional, engaging sound. Sure, it's not the most sonically accurate per se. No, it's honestly not. But it's what I like. I like to listen to music to enjoy it, to get what the artist or composer is trying to portray their emotions or feelings across, versus, okay, I can hear that bird chirp 400 feet to the left, up, and on that tree branch. I don't care. That's not what I listen to music for. Now, for those of you who like and only care about the detail retrieval, absolutely power to you. I absolutely see why you like that, because it's so cool to hear new notes that are in music that you've never heard before. I understand that. It's just not for me. But anyway, going back on track, this thing portrays a very warm, it's a very, very soft sound. The power output was very linear, and what I mean by that is, on here, and this is something I'm really impressed with. If you remember from my formerly $2,000 Huron 5, it kind of skipped a little bit. It wasn't a very linear volume knob. Now, I didn't go past like 40%, but it kind of skipped. It wasn't a very soft increase. This is a very gradual. You like barely adjust it, and it barely goes up. Myself, I only get to, again, about 40-45% on the total amp output. I don't listen to music loud. You're not getting the details if you have to listen to music loud. Listen to it at a comfortable level, and you really get to enjoy it. But going back to the sound quality without getting sidetracked, I really enjoy the warmth it gave me. This was a very musical amp, or actually combi unit. It's more than an amp, it's a combi unit with amp and DAC. It really was a very engaging. It complements is more mid-forwards headphones that are, well, they have a normal warm presence. For example, the headphones pretty much I always own. My Sennheiser HD650s, my absolutely beloved Bowers & Wilkins P7s. Actually, it goes really good with this one. The headphone I'm reviewing currently, the Audio-Technica ATH A550Zs. These are actually a studio headphones. It's more of a flatter frequency response. It's a very balanced. And it really complemented this. It added a very... So I'll actually sidetrack on the amp. Say you do have a balanced sound. It did a really good job of making the mids a bit more forward, which is, I enjoyed a lot better. I did only listen to it briefly, so I'm actually probably after this review going to re-listen to these two combos a little bit longer. But the Audio-Technicas that have more of a reference, more of a very balanced flat sound, you got the detail retrieval, but you had a very nice warmth to them. Not to the degree that I love my 650s for, and that's why they stay on my top shelf. but they did a very wonderful job. The best way I can sum up the sound of this, and amps are always the hardest things to review, they really are, because unlike headphones, you have high, mids, lows, these just feed power to a headphone, so it's really hard to talk about the sound without you experiencing it, but I am trying my best to do it. But the best way I can sum up the sound of this amp is it's a very tube-like sound. That very warm, the very emotionally engaging, musical sound, if I could. It just portrays that very well, versus being a very as-is, balanced, accurate, transparent amp. And if that's the kind of sound you like, then you will greatly enjoy the NFB. If you do like more of a transparent amp that really, or that does not affect your headphones at all, you might not want to look into this one. It might not be for you. But within this respective price point at $250, I believe, and I'll leave a link in the description below or to their website, and if I'm wrong, I'll leave a tag here, but I believe it goes for $250 new. You can't be wrong on this. It's awesome. I have no complaints on it. The only, well, other than it took me a while to get, and that's just your personal user error. But that's actually it for the review, guys. If you have any questions or feel there's anything I might have missed, overlooked, just forgot about, please hit me up in the comments below. I will absolutely and very happily reply to any and every one of you. If you have any suggestions of other amps I should try out, or if you're thinking about getting one yourself, hit me up and I'll do my best to help you find the best sound for you that I've personally heard. If I haven't heard them, I have not heard everything, but I will do my best to find someone who has. But guys, my name is Army-Firedog. It has been a pleasure, but most importantly, please I ask, stay safe.